House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
We are coming back at you like we never left. And for Liz and Gina, it seems they never left because they're still sitting right next to each other down at their very friendly offices at RE/MAX Diamond Realty. Half a day, ladies. Good to see you as always.
Half a day, Jace.
Okay, I got to ask you before we talk about this week's topic, what feedback did you guys get on your very animated, very passionate stance, let's call it, of last week, talking about, how you guys feel, Liz, as someone who has received the vaccine, Gina, someone who has opted not to get it, but at the same time, you guys stand with a unified voice and saying, we want choice, and that is, in your view, the most important thing. I've gotten a bunch of comments that said, wow, they really took a strong stance, and people respected that.
Yes, and there were people who commented that, yes, people should have a choice. I think some of them were circulating the video, and I don't think they expected us to be as vocal. But Gina and I aren't one to sit back when it has issues that affect people's rights. And, we've always talked about the fairness of the law, and to some degree that's discrimination, and it's a division. It pits one side versus another, and it's just right. It's not fair, and it's not right. That's just our personal opinion. Has nothing to do with our agency or the Guam Association of Realtors. It's a personal view that we have.
Now, Gina, you were actually the person who pretty much invented the concept of Atan Baba existing over Zoom, right? So that being said, did you, at least to me, did you get any comments or anything, or what were people saying about that piece?
If there were comments, Jace, like you said, I think they'd be afraid to say something to me, right?
I've got to say.
Why would you not with that smile?
I've got to say, Gina and I participated in the protest, and of course our sign said free choice, but it was interesting, the reaction there were many people that were honking, and then there were some that actually flipped the bird on their windshield. Yes, I mean, there were really strong opposition, and everyone is entitled to their opinions. We should allow others to be entitled to their opinion. And then we had a number of people that kept doing this, and we would go like this: we still love you. So again, there's strong opposition in terms of point of views here. So it's kind of interesting.
Jay, but Jay, let me just say, so that is exactly what we love about being Americans and Guamanians. We have the right to be different. And we should celebrate our differences of opinion, because sometimes if you don't allow for for the differences in opinions from, different people around you, you may never get to the truth, because you're so stuck in your own opinion. And if you're not open-minded, and if you're not willing to hear what other people may have to say, initially you may not agree, but over time you might come to see some light in the information they're giving you. In this particular case, Liz has her reasons for wanting to get vaccinated. I have my reasons for not wanting to do it. And we are both right based on who we are as people. And that's really why we've been showing up, and and we are protesting the mandate, but why we're really showing up is we're promoting the idea that we all individually should have the right to choose what is best for us. And I keep pointing out to people, when you go to the doctor right now, no matter what your ailment is, in order for them to administer anything, for them to treat you, you have to sign a consent. You have to say, yeah, I agree to it. And for other people that have recently gone and lined up and gotten the vaccination, good for you that you made that decision. I support you in it. What I'm concerned with is I've been hearing with a lot of people that have reached out to us and said, the only reason I'm getting it is because I feel like if I don't I don't have a choice. Like if I don't get it, I'm going to lose my job. Here in the office, because they, in our office, to us, it is their choice. Liz makes it clear that it's your choice if you want to do it or not. I make it clear that it is your choice. We don't care either way. What's best for you is best for you. It doesn't, we support that concept. But here in our office alone, we have 3 people, 2 adults and one adult that actually took her child, and they went and they got the vaccine this week. And our heart just breaks because they didn't do it because they truly wanted to do it. They did it because they felt like the pressure coming down from the governor's office is very strong. And even though we exhibit the fact that, hey, you guys, it's your choice, that's not how they feel based on the mandates.
I over the weekend, we went to a number of restaurants. There are hardly people in the restaurants now. The businesses are suffering. I've talked to a number of restaurant owners, and they're saying, because of this mandate, they've lost business. And wherever you go, they're asking, show us your card. And, when I go, I just attest, I've been vaccinated. I don't have to show you anything.
Okay, ladies, that's a very interesting point, because Liz and Gina, you both use specific words, right? Liz, you used the word discrimination, and Gina, you said the word consent, right? With bearing to the real estate business, I'm wondering, I would even maybe go so far as saying it's probably inevitable at some point for, in the rental sense, a landlord taking on a potential tenant, that somebody might say, I'm not so comfortable with taking on a tenant if you have not been vaccinated, or show me proof of your vaccination if I am in fact going to rent out my unit to you. As far as the Fair Labor or the Fair Housing Act right now, is this even covered in that, or is that like, do we accept that as like kind of like big gray area?
Right.
It's gray because right now Fair Housing Act says you can't discriminate on race, color, creed, religion, familial status. There's new guidelines that they placed into the Fair Housing Act. And if anything happened like that, it may get challenged because it is a gray area.
But
I think it's probably good.
But Jace, that is a good point. That is a good point, because right now the restaurants, by mandate of the governor, the restaurants have to do it. The gyms have to do it, right? And so it's kind of a slippery slope. If the landlord feels very strongly that this is their position, so that does not fall into the discrimination, the Fair Housing, it doesn't fall into it. So does that mean a landlord could say, I'm only taking vaccinated, tenants? I don't know. That's is a potential tenant in any way, do they have to disclose? Because I know we've talked about disclosure before on this show about but like say if you've got if a potential tenant has tuberculosis, or they say like if they're HIV positive, they don't have to disclose that when they're applying for house either to buy or to rent, correct?
No, not that we're aware of. I mean, even,
we used to think that your medical history is confidential, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that never used to be a question we felt that we can openly ask, nor do I ever feel like it's any of my business.
Yeah, most people quote HIPAA, like numerous times, like per week, like now, and I would assume that HIPAA would say like you don't have to, reveal that. Like it's, and again, this goes back to consent, right? But it is going to be interesting to see how this kind of plays out with, because as a landlord, do you face certain penalties if you do discriminate someone on the basis of their vaccination status?
We don't, like we said,
it's one of those we don't know things at the moment.
We don't know at this point because it's a gray area. But I'll tell you, if they do discriminate for race or affiliation of some sort, they get penalized. And we were warned, I think they had some workshop a while back where they warned us that if there's some form of discrimination here on Guam, they will penalize the parties involved.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 1967, 68, when the Fair Housing Act went into effect, I mean, we have our country, and I always feel like even though Guam is so separated from the United States, we adhere to the values of the US, right, for the most part. And we have tried to get away from discrimination. I mean, we used to separate Blacks and whites, and we used to not allow women to vote. And fair housing, they used to separate under the Fair Housing Act, it used to be based on color. I mean, there were so many things that we have walked away from. And now this kind of opens it kind of opens a can of worms. Could people start discriminating based on this? And are we going to, is it discrimination? If, the landlord says, well, it's for my other tenant's safety that I'm doing this. And that's why Liz and I will be at the legislature on Friday to testify and support the senators who have had the wherewithal to write this bill and to, get it out there so people can come over and testify about it, because we support putting some kind of stop to what's going on. We cannot just stand by and not say anything about it, because we cannot support segregation, discrimination under any excuse.
Well, let's definitely catch up after Friday, because I have a feeling I know what next week's episode is going to be on too. So I will see you guys then. So thank you again for reiterating your position, and thank you guys for watching. That was House to Home for today. Have a wonderful day. Please, everybody, stay safe.
Thank you.